The marketplace of Ravake 9 was loud, dirty, and crowded with aliens of every shape and smell. Evan, a young human farmer from the outer colony, walked through the noise with only one purpose: buy cheap tools and return home before sunset. He never liked this place. The ground was wet, the air smelled strange, and the traders always tried to cheat humans. But today, something felt even worse. As he walked between the stalls, many aliens stared at him, whispering and laughing. Evan ignored them and kept moving, but a group of tall, gray-skinned traders suddenly blocked his way. "Human," one of them said loudly. "We have something special for you." Evan sighed. "I'm not here to buy anything special. Just tools." The traders smirked at each other. "Oh, but this is very cheap. Only $5. Evan frowned. Nothing in the marketplace cost $5. Even broken tools were more expensive. Before he could ask, the crowd around them began to gather. Then the traders pulled something forward, a small figure, covered in dirt, shaking, and chained at the wrists. It was a girl. An alien girl. Her skin was pale blue, her clothes torn, and her long black hair was tangled with dust. She kept her head down, as if afraid to look at anyone. The crowd immediately stepped back, covering their noses. "She is the stinking one," a lizard-like alien shouted. "Nobody wants her." Evan felt confused. Yes, there was a strange smell in the air, but it wasn't strong enough for this reaction. "Why are you selling her?" he asked. The lead trader grinned. "Because she is useless, weak, smells bad. Her tribe does not want her. We tried to give her for free, but even that failed. So now $5. The crowd laughed loudly. Some aliens called her names. Others threw small stones at her feet. The girl did not move. She just stared at the ground, trembling silently. Evan looked at her again. Something in her eyes, though he could barely see them, felt different. There was fear, yes, but also a deep sadness, a quiet plea for help. "I don't want a slave," Evan said firmly. "You don't have a choice," the trader replied. "She is already marked. According to Ravak law, if a human places money on the table, even by accident, the sale is final." Evan looked down. There, on the trader's table, someone had placed a dirty $5 note. Whose was it? He had no idea. Maybe the trader planted it himself. The crowd started chanting, "Buy her! Buy her! Buy the stinking one!" Evan felt trapped, but he didn't want to leave her with them either. The girl lifted her head slightly, and her dark eyes met his for the first time. In that brief moment, Evan felt something cold run through his chest. Her eyes were filled with so much pain, so much silent begging, that he could not walk away. He picked up the $5 note and placed it back on the table. The crowd exploded with laughter. Human bought the stink girl. Now he must marry her. "Human, welcome to your new life." Evan froze. "What? I didn't agree to that." The trader leaned in close. "Old tribal law. If you buy a female slave from her tribe, you must accept marriage rights. If not, she returns to us. And you will not want that." Evan looked at the girl again. She was shaking harder now, her lips trembling. She whispered, barely able to speak, "Please, don't send me back to them." Her voice was soft, broken, and full of fear. The way she said, "Please," made something twist inside Evan's heart. He took a slow breath and gently touched her arm. "All right," he said quietly. "You come with me." For the first time, the girl looked surprised, almost confused. Slowly, she nodded. The traders unchained her and pushed her toward Evan. When she stumbled, he caught her. She flinched at his touch as if expecting pain. Evan turned, guiding her away from the crowd. But whispers followed him. "She will ruin his farm. He doesn't know what she is. She will bring death. No one keeps her alive for long." Evan tried to ignore them, but as he walked out of the market with the girl by his side, he noticed something strange. The smell around her grew stronger. Not terrible, but sharp, like something wild and dangerous. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. She did not answer. She only said, "They sold me cheap because something is coming. Something they fear." Evan stopped walking. The wind blew dust across the road. The girl's eyes filled with tears. "I am not safe," she whispered. "And now, you are not safe too." A cold chill gripped Evan's chest. He had bought a stranger for $5, but he had also bought a secret that could destroy his peace and maybe his life. Asterisk. The walk back to Evan's farm felt longer than usual. The sun had already begun dipping behind the rocky hills, and cold wind brushed against their skin. Riva, the alien girl he had bought for only $5, walked a few steps behind him, her eyes fixed on the ground. Her hands trembling like she expected someone to hit her any moment. Evan noticed she tried to keep distance from him. Even when he slowed down, she slowed too. When he stopped, she froze completely. It was clear she had lived most of her life in fear. By the time they reached the small wooden farmhouse, night had settled. Evan opened the gate, but his farm animals reacted instantly. The goats pushed to the far corner of the fence. The chickens ran into the coop. Even his old dog, Thor, growled softly and took a step back. Evan looked at Riva. She lowered her head in shame. "I told you," she whispered. "I am dangerous." "You're not dangerous," Evan said gently. "They just don't know you." Riva shook her head. "It is not that simple." The smell around her grew sharper, wild, metallic, almost like a storm before lightning. Evan didn't back away. He knew she expected him to. Instead, he opened the farmhouse door. "You can come inside," he said. Riva hesitated. "The smell will get worse. If I feel scared, then I'll try not to scare you." For the first time, she looked directly at him. Her eyes were deep and dark, carrying years of pain. She stepped inside slowly, almost like she couldn't believe a human home would welcome her. Evan lit a lamp. Warm light filled the room. Riva stood in one corner, tense and ready to run. "You can sit," Evan said, pointing to a chair. "I am not allowed," she replied quietly. "Allowed?" "Riva, this is my home. You are safe here." Her eyes softened, just a little. Evan brought food, a simple bowl of soup and bread. Riva stared at it but didn't touch it. "Are you not hungry?" he asked. "I am," she said weakly. "But if I eat, if my body relaxes, the scent will change again." "Why does the scent come at all?" She took a slow breath. Her hands tightened into fists. "My people release scent when we are hurt, or scared, or hunted." "Hunted?" Evan repeated, confused. Riva nodded. "The traders hurt me every day, so the scent would stay. It attracts predators from far away. That is why no one wanted me. Keeping me alive is dangerous." Evan felt anger burn in his chest. He sat across from her. "Riva, you're safe now. They can't hurt you here." But she shook her head again. "You do not understand. The scent, it does not leave instantly. It stays in the air. The predators who smelled me before, they may follow it." Evan leaned back, suddenly remembering the crowd's whispers. "She will bring death. No one keeps her alive for long." Riva looked down. "If you want to send me away, I will go. I do not want your farm to be destroyed because of me." Evan stared at her for a long moment. She was thin, exhausted, covered in bruises. She had lived in chains for who knows how long. And even now, after being freed, she only worried about protecting him. "No," Evan said firmly. "You're staying. I don't care about the smell. I don't care about your past. You're not going anywhere." Her lips parted in surprise. No one had ever said such words to her, but the moment was cut short. A howl echoed outside. Low, deep, and too close. Riva's body stiffened. They found me, she whispered. Evan grabbed his old rifle and moved toward the door. Stay inside, he said. She shook her head violently. If I stay, they will break your walls. They always break walls. Evan's heart raced. What are they? Hunters, she whispered. Creatures that track my scent. They do not stop. They do not rest. They want me because of what I saw, and now they will kill anyone near me. Evan stepped closer to her. Riva, look at me. She lifted her eyes slowly. I don't abandon people. You're not alone. Tears slipped down her cheeks. No one had ever said that to her. Outside, the howls grew louder. Riva wiped her face and whispered, Then we fight together. Evan nodded. The night outside Evan's farmhouse turned unnaturally silent. Even the wind seemed to stop as the howls faded into heavy breathing in the darkness. Evan loaded his old laser rifle, his heartbeat thudding hard in his chest. Riva stood behind him, her trembling hands glowing faintly with blue light. They are close, she whispered. Very close. Evan tried to stay calm. How many? Riva shook her head. I don't know. They move in packs. Sometimes 3. Sometimes 10. 10? Evan repeated, gripping his rifle tighter. She nodded slowly. They hunt anything that glows. Anything afraid. Anything weak. Evan glanced at her glowing hands. Why are your hands glowing? Riva hesitated. It happens when I am scared. Then try not to. A deep growl cut him off. Something large brushed against the outside wall. The wood creaked under the weight. Riva whispered, They are testing the walls. Evan moved toward the window and peeked outside. His breath caught in his throat. Shadows moved across the farm, tall, four-legged creatures with long spines running down their backs. Their eyes glowed faint green in the night as they sniffed the air, tracking Riva's scent. One creature walked past the window, its claws scratching against the ground. It was easily twice the size of a wolf. Riva, Evan whispered, we need to move. She shook her head urgently. If we run, they will chase. If we hide, they will dig. There is only one way: fight together. Evan exhaled slowly. He didn't want to fight monsters, but he also wasn't willing to abandon her. Another howl tore through the night, and the creatures attacked. The first one slammed against the door with enormous force. The wood cracked but didn't break. Thor, the farm dog, barked wildly from behind the fence, but Evan shouted, Thor! Stay back! The second creature leaped onto the roof, its claws scratching as it tried to tear a hole through the top. Dust rained down inside the house. Riva grabbed Evan's arm. They will break in soon. Then we make a stand outside, Evan said. Riva stared at him, shocked. You would risk your life like that? For me? Yes, Evan said simply. Come on. They pushed open the back door and stepped outside into the cold night. The air was thick with danger. The creatures turned their glowing eyes toward them, growling low and hungry. Riva lifted her glowing hands. Evan raised his rifle. The creatures charged. The first one leaped at Evan. He fired a shot. Blue light cut through the air and hit the creature in the shoulder. It screamed but kept coming. Before it could reach Evan, Riva stepped forward and clapped her glowing hands together. A blast of bright blue light exploded outward. The creature stumbled back. Blinded and confused, Evan stared at her in shock. You can do that? Riva shook her head. Only when I am scared. And I am scared now. The pack regrouped and began circling them. 2 creatures approached from the left, 3 from the right. Their spines rose like blades, their eyes burning with hunger. Evan aimed again. Riva, stay close. I will not leave your side, she whispered. The creatures charged again. Evan fired 3 quick shots, but the rifle overheated. He cursed it under his breath. Riva stepped in front of him, her arms spread wide. Her blue glow grew stronger, brighter, almost painful to look at. The creatures leaped onto her, but they never reached her. A wave of blinding blue light burst from Riva's body, pushing the creatures back like a storm wind. They crashed into the ground, whining in confusion, but the glow drained Riva's strength. She fell to her knees, breathing heavily. Evan rushed to her. "Are you okay?" "I cannot do it again," she whispered. "Not tonight." The creatures, though hurt and blinded, were recovering. Their growls returned, louder and angrier. Evan lifted Riva into his arms. "Hold on to me." She wrapped her arms weakly around his neck. He carried her into the barn, thicker walls, stronger doors. The creatures followed, clawing at the wood, but the barn held. Inside, Riva leaned against him, exhausted. Evan wrapped a blanket around her trembling body. "I brought danger to your home," she whispered. "I warned you." Evan shook his head. "You didn't bring danger. Those creatures came because of people who hurt you. Not your fault." Her eyes filled with tears. Why do you protect me? I am nothing to you." Evan wiped dirt from her cheek. "Because no one deserves to be hunted. Not you." Outside, the creatures circled the barn, growling in frustration, but they didn't break through. For the first time since her capture, Riva felt safe because a human refused to abandon her. But as dawn approached, the creatures disappeared into the forest dot, and Evan knew one thing. This was only the beginning. Morning light crept slowly over the hills, turning the sky a soft orange. Evan pushed open the barn door carefully, checking if any creatures still waited outside. The ground was scratched, the soil torn by claws, but the monsters had vanished with the night. Evan exhaled in relief and turned back to Riva. She sat near the haystack, wrapped in the blanket he had given her. Her glowing marks had faded, and her face looked calmer, but her eyes held worry, as if peace was something she didn't trust. "You should rest more," Evan said softly. Riva shook her head. "I cannot stay here long. They will return." "They won't get inside next time," Evan replied confidently. "I'll reinforce the walls. Build stronger doors." Riva looked at him as if he spoke an impossible language. "You still want me here? After everything?" Evan sat beside her. "I'm not sending you back. I told you that." Her eyes softened, but fear still lingered. "You don't know what the traitors will do when they learn I'm alive. They don't want witnesses." "Witnesses of what?" Evan asked gently. Riva looked away. She wasn't ready to speak. Not yet. Before Evan could ask more, a loud metallic sound echoed from the farm entrance, the kind of sound made by armored boots. Evan stood quickly and moved to the barn door. 3 alien officers in silver armor walked through the gate, carrying weapons and official tablets. Behind them followed the same gray-skinned traders from the market. Riva gasped. No, not them." Evan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Stay behind me." The officer in front stepped forward. His voice was stern and formal. "Human, you have taken property without completing legal transfer." Evan frowned. "I paid $5 for her." "You know that." "Payment was not the only requirement," the officer said. "According to the ancient treaty of her tribe, purchasing a female slave requires completing the marriage protocol. Immediately." Evan blinked. "Marriage? You can't force that." The traitor smirked. "He already owns her. He just didn't complete the ritual." Riva's breath broke. She grabbed Evan's sleeve, trembling. "They want to take me back." Evan stepped forward. "I won't let that happen." The officer raised a metallic scroll. "The law gives 2 choices. Return the female to previous owners. Accept the marriage bond and take responsibility for her protection." Riva shook her head repeatedly, tears forming. "If I go back with them, I will die. They will kill me before sunset. Evan felt heat rise in his chest. He faced the traitors. Why do you want her back so badly? What are you hiding? The traitor's smile faded fast. His eyes hardened. She knows something she should not. That is all you need to know. Riva clutched Evan's arm harder, whispering, "Please, don't let them take me. I would rather die here." Evan turned back to the officer. "What does marriage bond mean?" "It means," the officer said calmly, "you claim her as family. You become responsible for her safety, her life, and her actions. You agree, before the law, that she is not property, but partner." Riva lowered her head, her cheeks flushing blue with embarrassment. She whispered, "You don't have to do this. I don't want to trap you." Evan touched her hand gently. "You're not trapping me." The traitor suddenly stepped forward, pointing at Riva. "She belongs to us. She knows where the mineral caves are. She saw what happens inside. She cannot leave this world alive." Evan froze. Mineral caves, witness? That meant they were hiding something big, illegal, dangerous, and worth killing for. Evan turned to the officer again. "If I choose the marriage bond, they can't take her?" "She becomes protected under colony law," the officer confirmed. "Taking her would be a crime." Silence fell. Riva stared at Evan, terrified but hopeful. Evan felt the weight of the decision. It was sudden, strange, and heavy. But then he looked at her, small, trembling, tired, and broken by a life of cruelty. If he said nothing, she would die today. He stepped forward, inhaled deeply, and said, "I accept the marriage bond." Riva's breath caught. The officers nodded. The traitors shouted in anger, "This is illegal." "He cannot." The officer shut them down with a raised hand. "The law is clear. She is now under his protection. You have no claim." Evan turned to Riva. She stared at him with disbelief, tears slipping down her cheeks. You chose me?" she whispered. Evan smiled gently. "I chose your life." She covered her face, overwhelmed. But the traitors backed away slowly, their eyes full of hatred. "This is not over," the lead traitor hissed. "We will return. And next time, no law will save you." They left the farm with curses and threats. Riva leaned against Evan, shaking. "You changed everything." "For me," Evan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe now. With me you're safe." But deep inside he knew. Their fight had only begun. For the first time since dawn, silence settled over the farm. The officers had left. The traitors had disappeared back into the dusty road, leaving behind only threats, dust, and fear. But inside the small farmhouse, the air was still heavy. Riva sat at the kitchen table, staring at her hands that still trembled after everything. Evan placed a warm cup of tea in front of her, but she did not drink. She just kept staring, as if the world might collapse if she lifted her eyes. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," Evan said gently. Riva gave a weak smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I am always afraid. My fear is what keeps me alive." Evan pulled out a chair and sat across from her. "Riva, those traitors said you saw something in the caves. Something important. Something they want to hide." Her hands froze. The glow beneath her skin flickered faintly. "I don't want to talk about that," she whispered. "But I need to understand why they're hunting you." She looked up at him, slow, tired, and full of pain. "If I tell you, you will regret taking me." Evan leaned forward. "No, whatever you tell me, I won't regret saving you." Her eyes softened, and for a moment, she let herself believe him. Riva took a shaking breath. "My tribe once lived far from the traitors' lands. We mined crystals, bright blue minerals that rose from the ground like frozen rivers. They were beautiful. Our ancestors said they were gifts from the stars." Evan listened quietly. The crystals were harmless to us, she continued. We used them for light, for tools, for art. But then the traders came. They learned the crystals could be used for something else. What else? Evan asked. Riva hesitated. Weapons. Evan's stomach tightened. They discovered that the crystals can amplify energy, she said. Laser weapons. Engines, explosions. If shaped the right way, one small crystal can destroy a building. Evan felt a chill crawl down his spine. Your people never used them like that? No, she said firmly. We believed the crystals were alive. We respected them. But the traders, they mined too deep. They forced us to work. They took everything. She swallowed hard. My father was a miner. My mother was a healer. I was just a child. But one day, I followed my father into the caves. I hid behind a broken pillar so he wouldn't scold me. Her breath shook as memories surfaced. That day, the traders tested a new weapon. They used the crystals to create a blast. The explosion killed half my tribe in seconds. The caves collapsed. I survived only because my father pushed me into a small tunnel. Evan felt anger rising inside him. They thought no one saw what happened, she whispered. But I did. I saw them kill my family. I saw them laughing. They destroyed everything we had. Her voice cracked. When they found me, they didn't want to kill me. Not yet. They wanted to use me. Make me dig. Make me fetch crystals. When I refused, they beat me. When I screamed, my scent activated. They realized they could use it. They hurt me every day to keep the scent alive. So predators would come if I escaped. Evan clenched his jaw. That's why they sold you for $5. You were a problem they couldn't control anymore. Riva nodded. Yes, and they feared I might tell someone, anyone, you, the officials. The world. Evan reached across the table and gently placed his hand over hers. Riva, you survived something no one should survive. You're stronger than you think. She shook her head. Strength does not matter. They will come again. They will kill you for helping me. Let them try, Evan said quietly. You're not alone anymore. Riva's lips trembled. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. Why? She whispered. Why do you care so much? Because, Evan said softly, I saw you in that marketplace. Scared, alone, hurt, and I knew no one deserved that. You deserve safety. A life, a future. I made the marriage choice because I wanted to protect you. Not because the law forced it. Her breath caught. Slowly. She placed her other hand over his, something she had never dared to do with anyone. I don't know how to trust, she whispered. But I want to try. Evan smiled. That's enough. For a long moment, they sat there, two broken lives slowly beginning to heal. But the moment didn't last long. Distant explosion echoed through the valley. Riva's face went pale. They found the caves again. Evan stood up immediately, and he knew their fight wasn't over. It was only getting worse. The explosion in the valley shook the farmhouse windows. Dust fell from the ceiling. Evan grabbed his jacket and stepped outside, scanning the horizon. In the distance, black smoke rose like a pillar against the pale sky. Riva followed slowly, her hands trembling. That sound. It came from the crystal mines. They must be testing the weapons again. Evan looked at her. Then they're getting desperate. Riva nodded, her voice small. They fear the council will discover the truth. They will silence everything. Even the land itself. Before Evan could answer, the ground under them vibrated again, this time from something closer. Boots. Metal. Boots. Marching. Evan and Riva turned at the same moment. A line of armored soldiers walked down the dusty road toward the farm. Behind them came a large vehicle shaped like a metal beetle, its engines humming with low, dangerous power. At the front stood the lead trader, his eyes glowing with cold hatred. Riva stepped back, her breath growing fast. They came for me. Evan gently pulled her behind him. Then they'll have to get through me first. The soldiers stopped at the gate. The lead traitor smirked. Human, he called out, we warned you. The girl is ours. She carries information that can destroy us. Hand her over, and maybe we let you live. Evan stepped forward, rifle in hand. She's under colony protection. You can't take her. The traitor laughed. Protection? He snapped his fingers. The soldiers aimed their weapons. We make our own laws. Riva clutched Evan's arm. They will kill you, please. Run. I'm not running, Evan said firmly. Not without you. The lead traitor raised his hand. Take her. The soldiers charged. Evan fired the first shot. Blue light cut across the air and hit a soldier in the chest, knocking him backward. The other soldiers spread out, taking cover behind rocks and fences. Evan ducked behind a water barrel, firing again. Riva, get down. But she didn't hide. Her glowing marks brightened. Her hands trembled, but not from fear alone. There was anger now, deep and burning. The traitors had taken her tribe. Her freedom. Her family. She would not let them take the one person who protected her. 3 soldiers rushed toward the barn. Riva stepped forward and raised her hands. A wave of blue light blasted outward, stunning them and sending them crashing into the ground. But the effort drained her. She stumbled. Evan ran to her side. Easy, easy, don't push yourself. I must, she whispered. If they take me, the truth dies with me. The beetle-shaped vehicle rolled closer. Its top hatch opened, revealing a mounted cannon powered by a glowing crystal core. Riva's eyes widened. They made a weapon from the mines. They are going to fire. Evan cursed under his breath. Get inside, go. But Riva did not move. She stepped in front of him. Double quotes, no. If they shoot, you will die. I won't let that happen. For the first time, Evan felt fear for her, not just for himself. Riva, please. The cannon hummed louder. A bright blue energy orb formed at its mouth. The traitors yelled, fire! Evan wrapped his arms around Riva and pulled her to the ground. The cannon blast hit the farmhouse wall instead, exploding in a burst of bright light. Wood shattered. Flames spread quickly. Riva coughed in the smoke. They won't stop. They will burn everything. Evan helped her stand. Then we end this. He pointed toward the side path leading to the cliffs. If we can get high ground, we can fight back. Riva nodded weakly. Together, they ran behind the burning farmhouse as soldiers chased them. At the base of the cliff, Riva stumbled. Evan caught her. You're exhausted, he said. She shook her head. No, I'm ready. Her glowing marks pulsed brighter than before, steady, controlled. Evan stared at her. Riva, what are you doing? She lifted her hands. For the first time, the glow wasn't wild or chaotic. It was calm, focused, powerful. I am done being hunted, she whispered. As the soldiers reached the cliffs, Riva released a brilliant burst of blue energy stronger than anything she had produced before. The blast knocked the soldiers back, shattered their weapons, and cracked the ground beneath them. Even the beetle vehicle slid sideways, its engine failing. Evan stood in awe. Riva, you controlled it. She nodded, her breathing hard. Fear controlled me before. Now, you helped me control it. The traitor screamed in anger and retreated, dragging his soldiers toward the broken vehicle. This isn't over, he shouted. We will return. But Evan stepped forward, raising his rifle. Next time we'll be ready. Riva leaned against him, exhausted but alive. For the first time, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt like a warrior. The smoke from the battlefield drifted slowly across the valley. Broken weapons lay scattered, soldiers groaned on the ground, and the beetle-shaped vehicle hissed with sparks. The traitors had retreated, but Evan knew they would return, stronger, angrier, and more desperate. Riva leaned against him, exhausted, her glowing marks fading into a soft blue. She could barely stand after releasing so much energy, yet she looked calmer than before. "You saved us," Evan whispered. She shook her head weakly. "No, we saved each other." Evan smiled. Even now, after everything, she refused to take credit alone. But the peace lasted only a few minutes. A distant roar echoed across the valley. Not creatures. Not soldiers. Something else, something bigger. Riva's eyes widened. "They are calling reinforcements from their main camp. They won't stop. They are scared that the council might hear the truth." Evan clenched his jaw. "Then we have to tell them first." Riva turned to him, confused. "The council? They are days away. We cannot reach them in time." "Not alone," Evan said, "but with proof. And with your testimony. We can stop the traitors permanently." Riva looked down at her hands. "I never thought my story mattered. I am just one girl." Evan lifted her chin gently. "You survived something no one else did. You're the only one who saw the truth. That makes your voice the strongest of all." Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever believed she could change anything. "Then we must leave now," she whispered. Evan nodded. "But first, we collect proof." They made their way to the ruined mine entrance before the traitors could return. Smoke still curled from the cracked rocks. The air smelled of minerals and fire. Riva led him deeper into the tunnels, her glow lighting the path like a soft lantern. Inside the cavern, the truth revealed itself. Huge crystal structures spread like glowing rivers along the walls. Machines hummed with illegal energy. And in the center lay a broken weapon core, still burning with blue light. "This is it," Evan said. "If the council sees this, they'll know the traitors were building weapons." Riva knelt beside the crystal river, placing her hand gently against the glowing surface. "This is my home," she whispered. "My people lived here for generations. We never used the crystals for war, only for life." Evan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We'll make sure your people's story is heard." Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind them. The lead traitor appeared at the entrance. His armor cracked, his face twisted with anger. Soldiers followed him, weapons ready. "You think you can expose us?" he shouted. "A human farmer and a useless slave. Pathetic." Riva stepped forward, hiding Evan behind her. "I am not your slave." The traitor laughed. "You always will be." "No," Evan said sharply, pulling her back to his side. "She is my wife." The traitor's face twisted with fury. "Not for long." He raised his weapon, but he never fired. Riva lifted her hands only slightly, just enough. A gentle wave of blue light pushed forward, not harmful, not violent. Simply a warning. The traitor stumbled back, startled by her strength. Evan aimed his rifle. "We have proof. We're taking it to the council." "You won't make it out alive," the traitor growled. Evan smirked. "Watch us." With Riva guiding him through hidden tunnels her people once used, they escaped the mines before the soldiers recovered. By the next morning, they reached the nearest colony outpost. The officers listened. The proof was undeniable. Within days, the council declared the mines illegal and sent forces to shut down the traitors' entire operation forever. Riva was finally free, not just legally free from fear. Free from chains, free from the life she was forced into. Weeks later, Evan and Riva stood together in front of their repaired farmhouse. The land was quiet again. The sky was clear. Thor barked happily, no longer scared of her scent. Riva looked around, smiling softly. "I never thought I would have a home again." Evan took her hand. "You have one now." She looked up at him, her eyes warm. "All this, Because you paid $5 for me. No, Evan said, brushing her hair gently. Because I saw the real you. Riva leaned her head against his shoulder. Then maybe. It was the best $5 ever spent. Evan laughed softly. Best investment of my life. Riva smiled, glowing faintly not from fear, but from happiness. Together, they watched the sunrise, 2 lives changed forever. 2 worlds repaired through truth, and a love that began with only $5, but became priceless.